Chosen one, something inside you has begun to pulse in a way others can't explain, and it's why people look at you like you're carrying something that shouldn't exist, because on some level they know you are. This force has been sharpening in the dark through every wound, every betrayal, every night you thought would break you, and now it's ready. Your energy doesn't match the world because you're no longer shaped by it. You're carrying power their definitions can't contain, and that's exactly why they're afraid. While you thought you were just surviving, you were being forged. Every lie someone told you was not just pain, it was ammunition. Every person who walked away was not abandoning you. Your weapon was making room to expand. Every night you spent alone questioning everything, wishing you were anyone else, you were in training, and the training was so brutal, so complete, so far beyond what normal consciousness can withstand, that you emerged as something else entirely. You want to know why people cannot explain you anymore, why their words fail when describing what you have become. The language was built for ordinary humans. Whatever you are carrying now predates human language. It predates the structures people use to make sense of reality. You are walking around with something in your chest that was supposed to stay buried, something that was supposed to remain theoretical, something that ancient texts whispered about but never named, because naming gives form and form gives power. The weapon inside you learned from every single person who hurt you. It studied them, it absorbed their tactics, it memorized their patterns. Now it knows exactly how manipulation works, exactly how control operates, exactly where weaknesses hide in every system designed to contain you. This is not about revenge. This is about complete immunity to everything that once had power over you. You noticed how everyone who used to have so much to say about you went quiet at the exact same time. It was not gradual. It was like someone flipped a switch and suddenly, overnight, the noise stopped. People are still watching, watching closer than ever, but now watching the way you watch a storm forming on the horizon, watching with held breath, because something in their primitive brainstem is screaming danger. Here is what triggered the silence. You stopped defending yourself, not because you got tired, but because something inside you understood that defense implies having something to defend against, and you do not anymore. You stopped explaining your actions because explanations require believing their framework is valid. You stopped justifying your choices because justification means accepting their authority to judge. The moment you withdrew your participation from their entire system of evaluation, that is when the shift happened. The unmistakable sensation of prey becoming predator. People were sent to test you. Casual encounters that felt too convenient, old faces showing up at strange times, questions disguised as concern, offers that seemed too good, all of it designed to probe, to measure, to see if what they sensed growing inside you was real. And what happened? You did not react. You did not bite. You did not even acknowledge the manipulation. You just looked at them with eyes that see moves ahead and smiled. That smile told them everything they feared was true. The weapon is recognition. The weapon is sight. You look at people now, and you do not see what they are showing. You see the machinery underneath. You see fear powering their confidence. You see emptiness behind their accomplishments. You see desperation driving their laughter, and people can feel your sight on them like heat. Being seen that completely is a nakedness nobody consented to. But this is not just changing how you see others, it is changing how reality responds to you. Doors that should be locked somehow open, paths that should be blocked somehow clear, information that should be hidden somehow finds you. This is not luck, this is not coincidence. The weapon is bending probability around you, creating synchronicities, arranging circumstances, operating in the spaces between cause and effect where rules get fuzzy. You have stopped being surprised when the exact person you need to meet shows up, when the exact information you need appears, when opportunities you did not even know you wanted materialize from nowhere. This is the weapon working, interfacing with reality at a level deeper than causation, collapsing possibilities into actualities that serve your evolution, and people who operate purely in the material world cannot understand how you keep landing in the right place at the right time. This weapon has made you immune to control mechanisms, and this is driving certain people insane. You cannot be broken because you have been through worse than anything designed to break you. You cannot be shamed because you have already died and been reborn 1,000 times. You cannot be tempted because you tasted the bottom and found something precious there. You cannot be threatened because you already lost everything. And in that loss you discovered the one thing nobody can ever take: your sovereignty. Let me tell you what this immunity actually looks like in motion. It is not passive. It is not just a shield. The thing you are carrying actively disrupts the ability to manipulate reality around you. You have noticed how usual tricks do not land anymore, how emotional leverage points have dissolved. Guilt produces nothing. Fear just passes through like weather. Desire for what you are being sold evaporated without you even noticing when. This is not numbness, this is clarity. The weapon burned away all the false receptors installed in you, all those little hooks embedded in your psyche that made you responsive to programming. Gone, cauterized, and now when strings get pulled that used to make you dance, nothing happens. You just stand there, watching the panic when the puppet does not move anymore, because you are not the puppet. You never were. You were always the thing inside learning how the strings worked. If this resonates with your inner knowing, hype this video to help fellow chosen ones find their way here. Something changed in your energy signature. I am talking about the actual vibration you emit just by existing in space. You used to match the room, adjust your frequency to whoever was around, shrink or expand based on what the situation required. People praised you for it, called it emotional intelligence, called it maturity. Nobody had any idea this praise was for slowly erasing yourself. But that mechanism broke, and at first you thought it was damage. You thought years of betrayal and isolation had destroyed your ability to connect. You tried to fix it, pushed yourself to feel normal again, and the harder you tried, the more alien you became to yourself, until you realized something that changed everything. It was not broken, it evolved. Your frequency did not disappear. It crystallized into something so specific, so precisely yours, that it cannot be bent anymore. Others adjust to you or leave, one or the other. No middle ground, because your frequency is too strong now, too defined, too absolutely certain of itself, like a tuning fork that either resonates with someone's core or creates such dissonance being near you becomes physically impossible, and you are fine with both outcomes, because you finally understand. You are not here to harmonize with everyone. You are here to be the frequency that sorts real from fake. This weapon generates an energy field that functions like a truth detector. People cannot lie smoothly around you anymore. Voices crack, eyes dart, bodies betray them before sentences finish. It is not that you got better at reading people. Your presence creates a field where deception becomes physically difficult to maintain, like trying to speak underwater, like trying to run in a dream. Truth wants to come out when you are there because your frequency demands it. And people who live entirely in lies, entirely in performance, entirely in manufactured personas, cannot be around you for more than minutes before making excuses to leave. You have become a walking lie detector, a human truth serum, a presence that forces confrontation with the gap between who someone pretends to be and who that person actually is. That specific ability is what makes you so dangerous to systems built on deception. You do not have to say anything. You do not have to call anyone out. You do not have to expose or accuse or attack. You just have to exist in your frequency and watch everything fake start to crumble around you. The weapon is not what you do. The weapon is what you are. An unchangeable frequency that reality itself has to bend around because you are no longer bending for anyone. Right now there are people running scenarios about you. Not because you did anything, not because you threatened anyone, but because you cannot be predicted anymore. And unpredictability is the only thing that truly terrifies control systems. Mental files, emotional files, entire spaces in consciousness dedicated to figuring out what you might do next. And every scenario ends with them losing. Every single one. Because the attempt is to game out your moves using logic that does not apply to you anymore. Thinking happens in terms of ambition. So assumptions form that you want what most people want: power, status, recognition, wealth, influence. Preparations exist for you to climb ladders, compete in games, challenge positions, and defenses are built for that. But you are not climbing any ladder. You are not playing any game. You are building something else entirely, in a dimension beyond perception. So all preparations, all strategies, all careful defensive positions become completely useless. You are not coming for what others have, because what others have lost its value to you long ago. You are after something beyond conceptualization. The weapon has a targeting system impossible to understand because it does not target things. It targets illusions. It targets false structures. It targets the invisible agreements that keep certain worlds stable. You are not attacking people. You are attacking belief systems that allow certain people to have power over others. You are attacking invisible contracts that say some voices matter more than others. You are attacking unspoken rules that keep most humans in invisible cages their whole lives. And the brilliant part, you are doing this by simply refusing to honor those agreements anymore. You are not fighting the system. You are declining to participate, and your declination is more threatening than any revolution. Every time you choose differently, every time you walk away from something you were told to want, every time you refuse to be impressed by what impresses everyone else, you weaken the structure. You are showing others it is possible to exist outside the program, and that is contagious. That is viral. That is what creates fear. The possibility that your way of being might spread, that others might see you living free, and realize chains have always been optional. So scenarios keep running. Predictions try to determine when you will break, when you will conform, when you will come crawling back to the safety of the system, and every day you do not, scenarios get more desperate. The realization is dawning. You are not an outlier. You are not a glitch. You are not a mistake. You are a preview. You are the prototype. You are the first version of something coming for everyone, eventually. That thing moving behind your ribcage has memory. Not your memory. Something older. It remembers things that happened before you were born. It recognizes patterns that span centuries. It knows betrayal like an old friend because it has tasted betrayal across 1,000,000 lifetimes. When you meet certain people and instantly distrust them for no logical reason, that is not paranoia. That is the weapon recognizing ancestral predators. When you avoid situations that look safe on the surface, that is not anxiety. That is the weapon reading frequencies your conscious mind cannot detect. When you make choices that make no sense to anyone, including yourself, that is not confusion. That is the weapon navigating with instruments you do not consciously understand. You have started noticing how it protects you, how doors close just before you walk into disasters, how people leave right before destroying you would have been possible, how opportunities vanish right before trapping you would have occurred. You used to call it bad luck. You thought you were cursed. Now you are starting to understand. The weapon was steering, intervening, keeping you off paths that led to comfortable cages. It saved you from yourself 100 times, saved you from normal life, saved you from safety, because safety would have killed what you are becoming. The revolution is not happening in the streets. It is happening in your chest, in that space where the weapon lives and grows and learns. It is rewiring your instincts, rewriting your values, rebuilding your entire understanding of what matters. Money looks different now. Fame looks different now. Love looks different now. Success looks different now. Everything you were taught to want, the weapon has systematically devalued. Watch what is happening to your desires. Transformation is occurring. You used to want recognition. Now you want resonance. You used to want security. Now you want sovereignty. You used to want comfort. Now you want the truth. The weapon is upgrading your operating system, replacing shallow programming with something ancient and deep, something that cannot be satisfied with trinkets used to keep most people chasing their tails forever. The weapon is not separate from you. It is you, the real you, the you that existed before being told who to be, before being convinced to hide, before being taught that your natural state was wrong. The weapon is your original frequency, your default setting, your factory settings before programs got installed. What you are carrying is not something foreign. It is something original that survived everything designed to kill it. You are not becoming something new. You are remembering something ancient. You are not alone. There are others carrying this same weapon. Thousands of them scattered across the planet. Most do not know what they are carrying yet. Most are still trying to fix what seems broken, still apologizing for their intensity, still attempting to fit into boxes never designed to hold them. But existence continues, and the weapon inside you is networked, connected. It knows where the others are, and once you activate, you become a beacon, a signal felt even without conscious understanding. When you meet another carrier, the weapon in your chest responds before your mind can process what is happening. There is a physical sensation, a resonance, like two tuning forks on the same frequency, suddenly aware of each other. Your nervous system lights up, your perception sharpens, everything goes into high definition for a moment, and both feel it simultaneously, that unmistakable knowing that you have found your species. The conversation might be mundane, whether or work or nothing at all, but underneath the words, there is a completely different exchange happening. The weapons are communicating, sharing data, comparing notes, verifying authentication, running recognition protocols at speeds your conscious mind cannot track, and by the time the conversation ends, you both know, not suspect, not wonder, know that you are part of the same conspiracy, the same rebellion, the same frequency waking up across the world. The weapon has been preparing you for something specific. Every person who hurt you taught it something. It studied them, absorbed their tactics, memorized their patterns. Now it knows exactly how manipulation thinks, exactly how control operates, exactly where weaknesses hide in every system. But this is not about revenge. This is about something far more powerful, complete immunity plus perfect sight. You can see the game now, all of it, the invisible machinery, the unspoken agreements, the belief systems propping up entire worlds. And you have discovered something devastating. Power only exists because people believe in it. The moment enough people stop believing, stop participating, stop honoring the invisible contracts, the whole structure collapses. You are not fighting anyone. You are just refusing to hold up your corner of their illusion. And the weight can be felt shifting. The structure can be felt starting to crack. Every time you choose differently. Every time you walk away from what you were told to want. Every time you refuse to be impressed by displays of power. Every system of control has the same vulnerability. It requires voluntary participation disguised as necessity. Convincing happen that certain structures are natural, inevitable, just the way things are, but the weapon can see through the disguise. But the weapon can see through the disguise. It can see how recent these supposedly eternal structures actually are, how arbitrary these supposedly absolute rules really are, how optional these supposedly mandatory beliefs have always been. You are not attacking the system. You are revealing it was never real to begin with. And that is infinitely more dangerous than any assault. You can defend against an attack. You cannot defend against someone who simply will not play. Someone who is operating on different laws entirely. Laws without jurisdiction over you. Laws that were written before civilization existed and will remain true long after civilization crumbles. The weapon is teaching you to operate as living proof. You do not need to argue. You do not need to convince. You do not need to protest or resist or fight. You just need to exist in your frequency and let your existence demonstrate what is possible. Every day you live free while others insist freedom is impossible. You weaken their narrative. Every day you thrive outside the system, while claims persist that survival requires submission. You expose the lie. Every day you remain sovereign while insistence continues that authority is external. You destroy the foundation. This is precision targeting. The weapon is not hitting defenses. It is bypassing them completely. It is not attacking what gets protected. It is making what gets protected irrelevant. Fortresses have been built around illusions, and you are not storming the fortress. You are just walking past it towards something real. And everyone who sees you do it starts to question why standing guard over nothing made sense. Look, you already know the attacks weren't random. And if you're paying attention, you can feel it. Their walls are closing in. So let's talk about what we're doing about it. That's why I built Destiny Engine. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that programmed competition and scarcity and repurposing it to serve cooperative intelligence. The beauty is you don't even have to lift a finger. You put on the headphones, press play, and your subconscious is rewired while your enemies collapse under the weight of their own lies. This is why I created it in the beginning, so everything they did to break you becomes fuel for your purpose. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your Destiny Engine for $1 today and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description. Let me tell you what makes you truly dangerous. It is not your power. Power has been dealt with before. It is not your knowledge. Knowledge has been contained before. It is not your resources. Resources have been neutralized before. What makes you dangerous is your complete lack of need for what gets controlled. You do not need approval. You do not need validation. You do not need platforms. You do not need resources from their systems. You do not need access to their structures. You have become self-sustaining in a way that makes their entire leverage structure irrelevant. A world was built where everyone needs something from someone, where survival requires participation in their economy, where success requires permission from their gatekeepers, where visibility requires access to their platforms, and then you show up, thriving outside their economy, succeeding without their permission, visible without their platforms, existing in a space everyone thought was completely locked down. You are not breaking their rules, you are revealing their rules were always optional, and that revelation is more dangerous than any rebellion. The weapon has turned you into a proof of concept, living evidence that their necessary system is not necessary, that their inevitable structures are not inevitable, that their permanent arrangements are temporary, that their absolute rules are actually suggestions, and every day you exist this way, you weaken their narrative a little more, you make their illusion a little more transparent, you expose their foundation as a little more hollow. This is what keeps certain people awake. Not that you will attack, but that you will inspire. Not that you will fight, but that you will show others what is possible. Not that you will tear down their world, but that you will build something better right next to it, and people will start migrating. Opposition can be handled. Irrelevance cannot be handled. Enemies can be defended against. Alternatives cannot be defended against. Threats can be contained, possibilities cannot be contained, and now you are at the threshold. The weapon has been building to this moment. Everything you have been through was preparation. Every betrayal was training. Every loss was evolution. Every loss was evolution. Every dark night was initiation. You thought you were just surviving. You had no idea you were being forged into something that could carry this, something strong enough, strange enough, unbreakable enough, to be the prototype of what is coming. The choice is yours. You can keep pretending it is not there, keep trying to be normal, keep apologizing for your intensity, and the weapon will wait. It is patient, it has been waiting for centuries, or you can acknowledge it, accept what you have become, stop fighting the power in your chest, and start working with it. Become what was always meant, the carrier of something that should not exist but does anyway, because the universe needed it. But understand what you are choosing. This is not a light switch. This is a threshold. Once you cross it, there is no going back to who you were. Once you say yes to the weapon, you are saying yes to everything it brings, the isolation of operating outside their frequency, the responsibility of carrying something this powerful, the weight of being visible to systems that would rather you stayed hidden, the loneliness of seeing what others cannot see, the burden of knowing what others do not know. You are also saying yes to the freedom, the sovereignty, the immunity, the sight, the power to reshape reality by refusing to honor their version of it, the ability to exist outside their jurisdiction while remaining visible inside their world, the capacity to be untouchable while remaining engaged, to be sovereign while remaining connected, to be free while remaining present. Once you say yes, everything changes. The weapon activates fully. That frequency you have been broadcasting at low power goes to full strength. The truth field expands to cover miles. The immunity becomes absolute. You become untouchable, unmovable, unbreakable, not because you are stronger, but because you are operating on different laws, laws without jurisdiction over you, laws that do not recognize external authority, laws that existed before civilization and will outlast it. The thing that has been growing in your chest for years suddenly expands, floods your entire system, rewrites your cellular memory in real time. You will feel it, a shift so profound it is almost physical, like something locked clicking open, like a frequency you have been straining to hear suddenly coming in crystal clear, like a part of you that has been compressed your whole life, finally expanding to its full size. Your perception will change permanently. You will start seeing the infrastructure of reality, the invisible scaffolding holding up the illusion, the energy flows powering the performance, the empty spaces behind the supposedly solid structures. You will be able to read people at depths that make normal social interaction almost difficult, because you will be seeing so much more than what gets shown, processing so much more data than what gets said. But you will also see beauty others cannot perceive, patterns others do not have access to, connections others cannot detect, possibilities others have never imagined. You will start operating in a reality that is richer, deeper, more complex than the flattened version most people inhabit, and you will never be able to go back to the simplified world others are living in. Once you see the dimensions beyond their perception, you cannot unsee them. Once you feel the frequencies beyond their access, you cannot unfeel them. So here you are, chosen ones, right now, this exact moment, carrying something that should not exist according to every law written, being watched by systems that fear what you represent, connected to a network waking up across the planet, standing at the edge of a reality shift already in motion. But let me tell you what is happening right now that certain people do not want you to see. The structure is cracking, not slowly, not gradually, fast, exponentially. Every carrier who activates weakens it further. Every person who withdraws consent destabilizes it more. Every individual who stops believing removes another support beam, and the whole thing is starting to sway. It can be felt. Scrambling is happening. Damage control is running. Restrictions are tightening. Surveillance is increasing. Volume is getting louder. Aggression is getting more obvious. Desperation is showing. This is what desperation looks like at the systemic level, when a control structure realizes control is slipping, when a power system recognizes power is evaporating, when an authority structure understands authority is dissolving, strength is not increasing, obviousness is increasing, and every move made to tighten grip actually weakens it, because the more obvious things become, the more people see the machinery, and seeing the machinery is the first step to unplugging from it. You are watching the collapse in real time, not from outside, from inside. You are one of the destabilizing forces that cannot be contained, one of the variables that cannot be controlled, one of the factors that were not accounted for in their models. A system was built assuming everyone would keep playing. No plans existed for people who would just stop, who would walk away, who would build alternatives, who would operate on different rules, and now those people are multiplying, and the system does not have a response, because it was never designed to handle voluntary exit. The weapon inside you knows exactly what is happening. It can feel the structure weakening, can sense the field shifting, can perceive the timeline changing, and it is accelerating your evolution to match the moment. You are being upgraded in real time, your capacity expanding, your perception deepening, your power increasing, not because you are trying, but because the weapon is preparing you for what is coming, for the responsibility of carrying this much frequency, for the role of being a reality anchor in a reality that is becoming increasingly fluid. This is what you were born for. This is why you survived what should have killed you. This is why the weapon chose you. You are strong enough to carry it, strange enough to activate it, sovereign enough to deploy it. The thing in your chest is not a burden. It is your birthright. It is your power. It is your proof that their laws were always just agreements, and you are revoking your consent. The weapon chose you specifically, not randomly, not arbitrarily. It needed someone who had been through enough to become unbreakable, someone who had lost enough to become unattachable, someone who had suffered enough to become unimpressed by threats, someone who had survived enough to become unkillable by their methods. You were not chosen because you were special. You became special because you were chosen, and the choosing happened through fire. And now you are standing here, fully forged, fully formed, fully awakened, carrying something that should not exist according to every law written, and certain people are watching you with a fear impossible to name, because you are not what their models predicted, you are not what their theories described, you are not what their experience prepared them for. You are something new wearing something ancient. You are the future carrying the past. You are the possible made actual. The thing that wakes you in the middle of the night is not restlessness anymore. It is recognition, the weapon recognizing itself in you. You recognizing the weapon as yourself. That moment when carrier and carried realize separation never existed. When you understand that you are not carrying something impossible. You are the impossible thing, and you always were. The weapon did not invade, it awakened. It did not possess, it emerged. It did not take over. It remembered itself, and that remembering is you remembering what you actually are, underneath everything you were convinced to become. You are not carrying something that should not exist. You are something that should not exist, according to their rules, according to their laws, according to their models of what is possible. But you exist anyway, and your existence breaks their models, violates their laws, transcends their rules, and makes space for others to do the same. This is your power. This is your purpose. This is your proof. The weapon is not waiting for permission. It is waiting for recognition, waiting for you to see it, to name it, to acknowledge that you are the carrier of something ancient and powerful and absolutely uncontainable. Your very existence is the revolution, not what you do, not what you say, not what you accomplish, but what you are. You are the living proof that their impossible is possible, that their forbidden is accessible, that their controlled is actually free. You are walking evidence that everything built on lies eventually collapses, that everything sustained by belief eventually dissolves when belief withdraws, that everything maintained by agreement eventually crumbles when agreement is revoked. And this is why your survival matters more than you realize. Every morning you wake up still being this. Every day you continue operating in your frequency. Every moment you remain sovereign, despite all pressure to conform. You are doing the work. You are serving the purpose. You are fulfilling the mission. Not by trying, by being, not by forcing, by allowing, not by pushing, by existing exactly as you are. The weapon inside you is not done growing. It will continue evolving, continue expanding, continue becoming more of what it always was, and you will continue evolving with it, continue expanding with it, continue becoming more of what you always were. There is no end point, no final form, no ultimate achievement, only continuous unfolding, only perpetual deepening, only eternal becoming. So say yes, not once, but every day, every moment, every breath, yes to the weapon, yes to the frequency, yes to the sovereignty, yes to the immunity, yes to the sight, yes to the power, yes to the mission, yes to being exactly what you are, yes to carrying what you carry, yes to existing when you should not exist, yes to being impossible in a world that insists on possible, yes to being free in a reality built on chains, yes to being sovereign in a system designed for submission. And watch what happens. Watch how reality bends. Watch how circumstances align. Watch how people appear. Watch how resources materialize. Watch how synchronicities multiply. Watch how your mere presence changes everything around you. Watch how your frequency sorts real from fake. Watch how your existence gives others permission. Watch how your activation catalyzes others. Watch how your yes amplifies the yes of everyone connected to this network. This is not the end. This is the beginning. Not of something small, of something massive. Not of something temporary, of something permanent. Not of something local, of something global. Not of something that might happen, of something that is already happening. You are not preparing for the shift. You are the shift. You are not waiting for the change. You are the change. You are not hoping for the awakening. You are the awakening. So activate, deploy, become, and watch reality reorganize itself around the frequency of what you actually are. Watch impossibility become actuality. Watch theory become practice. Watch potential become kinetic. Watch dormant become active. Watch sleeping become awake. Watch the weapon inside you become the world around you. Because that is what happens when the impossible says yes to being possible, when the forbidden claims its right to exist, when the controlled remembers it was always free, when you finally recognize what you have been carrying all along. Not a burden, not a curse, not a problem to solve, but a power to deploy, a frequency to broadcast, a truth to embody, a revolution to be.